Have you ever watched someone choose their dignity over their paycheck? One sentence shattered a hard-working father's life in front of an entire office. The CEO's cold command echoed through the room like thunder: do as I said or quit. Everyone expected the exhausted single dad to bow his head, apologize, and stay silent. Instead, he slowly packed the few belongings from his desk, took his daughter's small hand, and walked away without looking back. Nobody in that glass office realized they weren't watching a man lose everything, they were watching the beginning of a story that would change every life in that building forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, second chances, and standing up for what is right still matter in today's world, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Dot. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Daniel Harper was 38 years old, a widowed father raising his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, alone after losing his wife to cancer 4 years earlier. Every morning began before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, braided Lily's curly brown hair after watching countless online tutorials, packed her lunch with handwritten notes that simply read, "Daddy loves you," and rushed across the city before dropping her at school. His own breakfast was usually nothing more than coffee and whatever toast remained after making sure Lily had enough to eat. Life had become a careful balancing act between fatherhood, grief, and survival. Daniel worked as a senior operations coordinator for one of the largest logistics companies in Chicago. The job paid enough to cover rent, groceries, school supplies, and little else. He never complained because every paycheck meant another month of stability for Lily. His co-workers admired his reliability, though few knew how much he sacrificed every day just to arrive on time with a smile that hid years of exhaustion. The company had recently welcomed a new CEO named Victoria Lawson. She was only 42 but already famous for transforming struggling corporations into profitable giants. Investors praised her aggressive leadership, while employees quietly feared it. She believed discipline mattered more than excuses and productivity mattered more than personal circumstances. Numbers impressed her far more than human stories. Within weeks of taking charge, Victoria introduced impossible deadlines, mandatory overtime, and strict attendance rules. Even employees with years of loyal service suddenly felt disposable. Daniel tried harder than anyone to meet every expectation. He worked through lunch, skipped breaks, and often stayed late before racing across town to collect Lily from an elderly neighbor who watched her after school. One rainy Tuesday morning everything fell apart. A terrible highway accident brought traffic across the city to a standstill. Daniel called the office repeatedly, explaining he would be 15 minutes late because he couldn't leave Lily alone in the car during the delay. By the time he arrived, soaked from running through the rain while carrying both his laptop and Lily's forgotten backpack, Victoria was already waiting near the operations floor. In front of nearly 50 employees she questioned his commitment, dismissing every explanation before delivering the words that froze the room. She told him to do exactly as instructed or quit because the company had no room for personal problems. Silence spread across the office. Some employees lowered their eyes. Others quietly hoped Daniel would simply apologize. Instead, he looked toward the family photo sitting on his desk. It showed Lily laughing on a beach, holding the hand of the mother she barely remembered. Daniel smiled sadly, placed the picture inside a cardboard box beside a worn coffee mug, a notebook filled with ideas that had saved the company thousands of dollars over the years, and a tiny paper flower Lily had made in kindergarten. Without anger or revenge, he packed every personal belonging, thanked the co-workers who had treated him with kindness, signed his resignation letter, took his box, and walked toward the elevator with his head held high. No one clapped. No one spoke. But every employee remembered that walk. The following months became the hardest season of Daniel's life. Savings disappeared faster than expected. He delivered groceries at night, repaired furniture on weekends, and accepted temporary warehouse jobs whenever they became available. Some evenings he skipped dinner so Lily would never notice how empty the refrigerator had become. She often caught him pretending he had already eaten, yet she quietly split her sandwich in half anyway. Despite every hardship, Daniel never allowed bitterness to enter their tiny apartment. Every night they read stories together, laughed over homemade board games, and talked about dreams instead of disappointments. Lily once asked whether losing his job made him a failure. Daniel gently answered that losing a job never defines a person. Giving up kindness does. Those words stayed with Lily forever. Meanwhile, inside Victoria's company, unexpected problems began appearing. Experienced employees resigned one after another. Creativity disappeared. Fear replaced teamwork. Projects slowed because nobody wanted to take responsibility. The company remained profitable on paper, but morale collapsed completely. One afternoon, the board of directors reviewed several older operational reports and discovered something surprising. Many of the company's biggest cost-saving innovations had never come from expensive consultants. They had come from Daniel Harper. The efficient warehouse routing system. The emergency shipping protocol. The employee mentoring program. The fuel-saving delivery schedules. His quiet ideas had saved millions over several years, yet he had never demanded recognition. Victoria stared silently at report after report carrying Daniel's name. For the first time she realized she hadn't fired an average employee. She had pushed away the very person who quietly held much of the company together. Determined to fix her mistake, Victoria asked human resources for Daniel's contact information. She learned he no longer worked in corporate offices. He had started something entirely different. Using skills developed during years of solving everyday problems, Daniel opened a small neighborhood logistics consulting business from an old warehouse. He hired unemployed veterans, single parents, and older workers who had struggled to find opportunities elsewhere. His philosophy was simple. Treat people like human beings first. Profit comes second. Within 2 years, local businesses praised his honesty and practical solutions. His company slowly expanded because every client recommended him to someone else. When Victoria finally visited his modest office, she expected resentment. Instead, she found walls decorated with children's drawings from employees' families, comfortable break rooms, flexible schedules, and workers who smiled because they genuinely wanted to be there. Daniel welcomed her with quiet respect. She apologized sincerely. Not because shareholders demanded it. Not because profits had declined. Because she finally understood leadership without compassion creates obedience, but never loyalty. Daniel accepted her apology without hesitation. Forgiveness did not erase the pain, but it freed both of them from carrying it forever. Rather than returning as an employee, Daniel proposed something unexpected. The two companies could partner together to create better working conditions for parents, caregivers, and employees facing family emergencies. Victoria agreed immediately. Over the next year, they introduced flexible scheduling, childcare assistance, emergency